Welcome everyone to Throwback Gaming's Our Life Beginnings and Always Let's Play, Part 4. Last time we did the shoppings moment, where me and Cove went shopping downtown looking for a new sand pail, and we did all that fun stuff. If you want to check that one out, please click on the video that was in the list before this one, Part 3, Shop Till You Drop. But this time we are going to see what happens when we play Grown Up. I don't remember exactly what happens in this one, but I'm guessing we're going to play House or something like that. So let's jump in, shall we? One sweltering summer day, you were in your living room with Cove, listening to the sounds of birds chattering outside the window while you lay across the rug on the floor. Cove's dad had dropped him off earlier, and your moms had left the two of you along with Lizzie to play amongst yourselves. It'd been too hot to go outside in the afternoon, at least according to your mommy, so your sister was starting to get impatient, waiting for her golf class that evening. Alright, so Lizzie plays golf, interesting. The three of you had trouble finding something fun to do. The beach and the playground were off limits, and you felt that it was too warm for anything like playing with your fuzzy toy animals. Probably. Then suddenly a light came to Lizzie's big brown eyes and her smile spread wide across her face. Having an idea gave her a new wave of energy. Since we're stuck inside, we should be adults. They don't play outdoors anyways, they're always inside and telling people they're too busy to play. That's funny. I love Cove. Why? I said why, and it'll be fun. Duh. She's like, you idiot. You don't understand my brilliance. What do they do inside that we don't, besides use the phone a lot? Including a small huff. Lizzie decides to ignore Cove. She's like, you're not gonna ruin my good idea. Jamie, what do you think? Do you want to? Cove said it. It doesn't sound fun. I bet we could come up with something else. I don't know, or I want to. We'll just say I don't know, because I feel like that's kind of the most neutral option. Please, Jamie, when have I ever had a bad idea? Well, let's think for a moment. Whenever we play with you, dang, Cove, they're throwing shade. I wasn't asking you. I'll try it, but it sounds boring. Okay, I'll stay. Sorry, I have other stuff to do, or you keep hesitating. Okay, this one sounds rude. This one's giving in. This one is making an excuse, and I don't know. We're gonna keep hesitating, I guess. You look down at your hand, still unsure. Apparently tired of waiting for you to make up your mind, Lizzie's sighed. Fine, go play over there, Jamie. You flinched from her raised voice. It definitely wasn't fun to join now. Me and Cove will do it ourselves. It's decided. Okay, first of all, Cove never wanted to do it in the first place, so how do you plan on doing that? He looks back at you regretfully. Dang, she whipped him quick. Now go on. Nodding goodbye to the two of them, you trolled off to find something else to do. Like he promised, Cove stayed with Lizzie for the next couple of hours while you... I didn't even get to do anything. What? Watched TV, played Godzilla, read a book, or built a fort. What? I would have went and joined them. I'm so mad. Guess we watched TV. You could hear them talking as you put on your favorite cartoons in the kitchen. Soon enough, the sound of the TV drowned them out, and you happily tuned into the show, leaning your elbows on the kitchen counter and swinging your legs beneath your stool. It wasn't long before you heard Lizzie and Cove's voices again, and this time they were much louder. Curious about what was happening, you cranked your neck to listen on them better. At first, you most only picked up on Lizzie's high-pitched shouting, giving orders, telling Cove what to do, yelling about sports and the Olympics. That was pretty typical for Lizzie, so there was nothing new there. But then you started hearing Cove more and more as time went on. It sounded like they weren't having a very good time. You stayed put, or you went to see what was going on? We need to join them. You abandoned your faithful TV set to go check on what was happening with them. Hey, is something wrong? Okay, she looks pissed, and he looks sad. So, the usual. From up close, you could see that his sister was red-faced and pouting, while Cove mostly looked confused. Neither of you paid mind. Shut up, Cove. You're being so unreasonable. You... I don't get what you want. This game doesn't make sense. It does. You have to be realistic. I said that. But you're not. You worried that the two of them were going to get a little too angry over whatever it was. You had no idea what to do to make them stop at this point. It seemed like the two of them would just keep working each other up as long as they could. Had the two of them been arguing like this the whole time? Okay, if they've been arguing for hours like this, that's a bit ridiculous. They should have just came in here and talked to you or something. Thankfully, like a greeting angel card, Mom walked into the room. Lizzie rushed over to her, hanging onto the hem of her shirt and poking her tongue out at Cove. Lizzie, Jamie, it's time to get ready to go.
You alright?
So, sorry you have to leave already, Cove. Their mommy said she'll walk you home so you won't be left in the cold. Cove was still glaring at Lizzie, his face flushed red with anger. I can go by myself. But... bye. There was still a harsh edge to the brief farewell, but you knew it wasn't you he was mad at. Without giving Mom a chance to stop him, Cove stood up and stalked out of the room, shoulders drawn tight. Okay. Worried, Mom turned down to you at Lizzie. You two were playing nice with our friend, weren't you? You told the truth or you lied? Oh, we're telling the truth, because we should have been playing with them. We shouldn't have been in the other room by ourselves the whole time. We were playing pretend and things got intense. They were like cats and dogs. Your sister's jaw dropped, looking betrayed as Mom put both hands on her hips. Elizabeth! I told you to be kind to him. He's having a hard time right now. She shut up real quick, didn't she? Lizzie's mouth closed back up, replaced by a tiny frown. I know, I tried, but he was... That's enough. No buts. We both know you can show someone a great time when you put your mind to it. We're going to apologize to Cove and his dad over the phone when he gets home from work tonight. Lizzie hung her head, dragging her foot across the ground in front of her. Okay, Mom. Good girl. You caught pieces of Lizzie's sulking to herself about how it was his fault too, but it was over. Alright, we better get a move on. Let's go, kids. Nalandi? Where did you leave the car keys? Okay, so Mommy is named Nalandi. Mom hustled you all out the door, and you noticed the car ride to the golf practice that Lizzie was quieter than usual. Yeah, she's probably still pouting. She was usually the first one to request which music you listened to in the car, but she didn't say anything. Your parents noticed she wasn't in the mood to be bothered. They gave her space, and Mommy just asked you what you wanted to listen to. You picked your favorite song. It always made the car ride more fun. You chose the soundtrack to a cool movie you saw a couple months ago, or you chose a song you knew Lizzie would like. Maybe it would cheer her up. Let's pick the song that Lizzie liked, because even though we told on her, which was the right thing to do, maybe this will make her feel a little bit better. You were happy to see it brighten her up right away, and she started singing along with you. Hey, that's good. Soon enough, her bad mood was a thing of the past. Yay, we picked the right choice. Ooh, isn't that pretty? Looks like a golf, what is it, one of those country clubs or whatever. Excuse me. When the card ride was over, you spent the twilight hour watching Lizzie hit things with other girls her age. No comment. You didn't know much about golf, but you could tell that she really liked it. So you sat with your moms and tried to puzzle it out. It was nice sitting outside after being cooped up in the house all day. Excuse me. And you stretch out your legs to let the last few minutes of sun warm your skin. When the sun was finally out of sight, dipping behind the horizon, you all got ready to leave. Instead of going straight home, your moms took your family out to dinner. That's always nice. You went to a restaurant you had all been going to ever since you could remember. Aw. Earlier, you only caught the tail end of your sister's argument with Cove, but you could kind of tell that all this helped Lizzie be less angry. The car ride home was quiet, but only with the radio providing escape from silence. Lizzie had been in better spirits now, but the closer you got to your neighborhood, the more she wiggled in her seat and frowned out the window. She knew it was coming when we all got back home. Clearly, she was dreading it. Yeah, most people don't like having to apologize. Soon enough, Mom was turning onto your street, then reversing it into the driveway. Once you cut the ignition, it was dead silent. No one spoke, only unbuckled their seatbelts and opened the doors. Lizzie was the last one out. Well, obviously. Once everyone was inside and done taking off their shoes, she propped her hands on her knees. Now then, Mr. Holden's car is in his driveway, so he should be back from work. That's good news, isn't it, Elizabeth? You and Cove can hash things out before the day's done. Oh, somehow I hit, repeat. Oops. Lizzie didn't complain or put up a fight. Her head ducked so she didn't have to meet anyone's eyes, and she nodded once. She's like, just let's get this over with. Good. Now let's move this to the kitchen. Mom went over to the house phone, the rest of you following behind her. Mommy put a gentle hand on Lizzie's shoulder as they walked side by side. You watched them from the back. This was only happening because you told on Lizzie. You didn't regret it. You felt a little guilty, like you betrayed your sister. You hadn't liked doing it but had to, or it was her fault for doing it in the first place. Well, we probably feel a little bad, but we had to. It's the right thing to do. Being a tattletale didn't feel good, and you didn't want someone else to tell your moms everything you did. Yeah, but the whole point is that you're supposed to learn not to do it next time. Still, your mom had asked directly, and you wanted to be a liar even less. The four of you stood around the kitchen in a lopsided circle. All eyes were on Lizzie, who kept her gaze at her feet. You remember the number for Cove's house, don't you, honey? Lizzie jerked her head in another nod, sullen. Without further prompting, she stepped forward and she began to dial. Mom reached over and pressed a button on the base. Suddenly, you could hear the phone ringing. She had turned on the speaker. Cool. The phone rang a couple times and then stopped. Mr. Holden's warm voice came through the other end. Evening, Holden residence. Lizzie looked over at her mom, unsure. She nodded encouragingly. Hi, Mr. Holden. It's, Lizzie. Can I talk to Cove? Lizzie laughed. What a surprise, but of course you could say hi to the boy. He sounded cheerful as usual, though definitely meant it when he said it was a surprise. You thought hard, and you were sure your sister had never called Cove's house before. Mom spoke up before Mr. Holden or Lizzie could say anything more. Her arms were crossed over her chest, her lips pursed. Hi, Cliff. Nalani. Hey, Cliff. Nalani, Jamie, and I are here, too. Okay, so Nalani is the mommy. Nalani. Okay. Good evening. Sorry to bother you so late. So that's Nalani. You spoke up to say hello to, or you said nothing to Cove's dad? We should say hello. Hello, Mr. Holden. The gang's all here, huh? Is something the matter? His voice grew a bit concerned. Molly was quick to reassure him. No, well, yes, but it's gonna be okay. Lizzie and Cove got into a bit of a fight today. We were hoping the two of them could talk and make up. Is this a good time for you and Cove? A fight? Cove didn't tell me anything about that when he came home. It does explain the funk he's been in tonight. He chuckled lightly. Despite that, it didn't sound like he really thought it was funny. Anyway, it's good. You didn't catch us at a bad time at all. I'll go grab him for you. There was some shouting on the other end. He must not have been gone far because you could still hear him calling out. Cove, there's someone on the phone for you. After a beat of silence, there was more muffled talking from Cove's dad. Come on, bud. Lizzie called just so she could talk to you. Jamie's on the other end listening too. Don't you want to say hi? It took a bit of back and forth, though the conversation seemed one-sided since you couldn't hear Cove properly. He's probably mumbling. Eventually, Cove took the phone from his dad. Hello? Hey, it's Lizzie. Yeah, I know. Dad told me. He looks not amused, and she looks upset. He looks not amused. Cove's tone was defensive. Lizzie turned to Mom, scowling. One star look from her, and she turned away. She's like, alright. I just wanted to call to say I'm sorry for not playing nice with you today. I won't do it again. Lizzie's eyes were downcast, her voice low. You could tell she felt uncomfortable apologizing to Cove in front of everyone. But that's the whole point. You feel bad, so you won't do it anymore. She was still being genuine about feeling bad. Cove must have realized that too because he sighed quietly. Okay, I guess I'm sorry too. A sense of relief washed over everyone at his acceptance of the apology. Mama uncrossed her arms while Mommy's shoulder was slacked. Lizzie's eyebrows raised up. You wondered if she thought he refused her apology. Dad, can I get off the phone now? You couldn't see him, but it was obvious that Cove felt awkward about the situation. He'd come off uncomfortable the entire time, really. Yeah, you can go back to your room if you want, but say goodbye to everyone first. Bye, Lizzie. Bye. Bye, Jamie. He perked up at the mention of your name. You smiled even though he couldn't see it. Bye, Cove. Aw. With that, Cove must have handed the phone back to his dad and left, since Mr. Holden spoke up. All's well that ends well, as they say. Thanks for arranging this. I'm sure he appreciates it. As Mommy replied, Lizzie tugged on Mommy's shoulder to catch her attention. Can I go now, too?
Good job.
Sure, sweetie. Thank you very much for apologizing to Cove. Mom flashed a brief smile at Lizzie and nodded her agreement. Given permission to leave, Lizzie scurried off towards the stairs. She seemed to be feeling much better with the incident behind her. Mom and Mommy returned to the phone, taking it off speaker. They continued to talk to Mr. Holden. You couldn't tell about what. You were glad that that was the end of it. All Lizzie and Cove might not get along and probably still won't, but they weren't mad at each other anymore. Mom and Mommy weren't upset either. Everything was finally back to normal. With that, you retreated to your own room with a spring in your step. And that's it for Grown Up. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like. Subscribe to the channel to know when the videos come out. And I'll see you next time when we play Long Day. Probably go to the beach. Then again, it seems like we have two beaches, so maybe this isn't about the beach. But we'll find out next time. Until then, peace out.